This is a Smith machine glute bridge, a great exercise to target the glutes in a shortened position. I prefer using a Smith machine because it's a lot easier to load the plates on and take them off. But if you like using a free barbell, you can go ahead and do it that way, and the setup is just the same. Let's get started with the setup. As you can see right there, I have the bench set perpendicular to that bar. It's a little bit easier this way to set up and more comfortable, but if you like having it lengthwise parallel to that bar, you can do it that way as well. Also get a foam pad ready, that way the bar doesn't hurt when it's on your hips. Next up, you want to position yourself in a spot to where the middle of the back is on the edge of the bench. If you have a hard time finding the middle of the back, it's just basically where the bottom of the rib cage is. If you feel your lower back too much in this exercise, it means you're likely too far down that bench. And if you feel like you can't get a good range of motion, it likely means that you are too far up on top of that bench. The bench should also be in a spot so whenever that middle back is on the edge of the bench, that bar is right on top of those hip bones. You should be able to find those hip bones. It's just that bony part of where those hips are. It's going to take some practice at first, the first few times you do this exercise, but after a while, it'll become super easy to set up. Next, those feet should be set up about shoulder width apart, and make sure that those toes are matching the same angle as those thighs. So not completely facing forward, but not too much rotated outwards. Next, you're going to set up those feet in a spot to where those knees are bent at 90 degrees or slightly greater than 90 degrees. So at the very top of the movement, those knees are bent at a right angle. If you find that you are pushing yourself up on top of the bench while doing this exercise, it likely means that you have those feet too far forward. And if it feels like you don't get enough contraction in those glutes, it likely means that you have those heels too far close to that bench. When unhooking that bar, make sure you squeeze those abs to not put pressure on that lower back. Also, make sure to keep that chin down, looking straight forward to avoid using that lower back. If you tilt that head backwards, you're more likely to use that lower back and feel it in that lower back. Also, make sure that those hands are on top of the bar, palms facing down to help you push that bar into those hips and squeeze that core a little bit better. Versus having those hands underneath that bar, palms facing up, you're much more likely to push up at that bar and use those arms and lift up with that lower back. Here comes one of the biggest tips when doing this exercise. As you're pushing those heels into the ground, imagine like you're also pulling those heels towards your body like you're doing a hamstring curl. Also pay attention to the movement right here. This is a glute bridge, not a hip thrust. We're only getting about 4 to 6 inches of travel on that bar, just focus on the top half range of motion. There shouldn't be a lot of movement in that chest. As you can see right here, everything below that chest is moving. However, that chest is basically staying in the same spot, not tilting up or down. Also, keep as much weight as you can on the heel and the middle of the foot to avoid using the quads. Don't let those knees cave in towards each other as you're going up and down. And also to get a little bit extra contraction as you're pushing those heels into the ground, imagine like you're using your feet as windshield wipers, almost like you're trying to rotate those toes outwards. Don't actually make them move, but imagine like you're trying to bring those toes a little bit further out. Last up, this movement is all about control. As you can see right there, I'm not jerking that weight up too hard, and I'm always making sure I'm getting a 2-second contraction at the very top of the movement. Taking the eccentric nice and controlled, still pulling those heels towards my body, getting those hamstrings active. And on the last rep of each set, I like to hold at the top for at least 4 seconds to get a little bit more out of those glutes. You can even add 3 to 4 posture reps at the very end to get even more of a burn on those glutes.